Reba, welcome to #Women You Are Power. It is such an honor and such a pleasure to have you in this power session today. I'm going to jump straight into question one, if you don't mind, and ask you, what do you perceive power to be as a woman?
All right, Quincy, that is indeed a very loaded question. I perceive power to resonate with, I think, influence, number one. How are you as a female able to influence other people? And if you have a platform in which you can influence, are you doing it for power, number one, or are you doing it in order to help other people? And secondly, I think impact is a very big one. What impact do you have in the environment that you're in the world that you live in? What influence do you have? And again, are you using that influence in a positive light to empower other people?
I love that so much. I love that you've put in an aspect of social responsibility and influence, right? Because a lot of us do have a platform and we do have a voice, but what differentiates us is how we're choosing to use that power. What kind of positive impact are we choosing to make around us? That brings us to question two for the session, which is, have you realized that power in your own life?
All right. I think, Quincy, in terms of realization, I think I'm still on the path to realizing that specific power. I don't think I'm there yet. I think it's a journey. You know, the realization of power, for me at least, it's really a journey. You're powerful at different stages in your life in different ways. And so I think I'm still on the way to realizing that power. I do believe that there have been aspects in my life wherein the power has been realized through the ability to speak to people, to reach people, and to actually touch people. So I think I have reached it in some areas and not really in other areas, yes.
And I think that is an extremely modest answer, but I'm going to go to question three and hear what that answer is before I dive into how modest you're being right now, which is how have you been able to share that realized power with the world or with your community or friends around you?
All right, Quincy. So I think, first of all, I really believe a person is, I read something the other day that said you're a parliament of selves, which means you are who you are, but there are other people that influence who you become. And for me, I really think a lot of women have had a very big influence, and personally, my mother. She I believe she really personifies power, and maybe I'm being biased, but she really personifies power. Where, I mean, she grew up in a rather testing time, for lack of a better word, and her main narrative has always been learn more, learn as much as you can. And my mom is a teacher, so obviously that's where the narrative comes from, learn more. And I read something else that said, you never know who you meet. Somebody that you meet always knows something that you don't. And so I think I'm maybe veering off your question now, but nonetheless, I don't know if I have been able to. I think, like I said, if you're given a platform to exercise the power, you are able to do so. So I do believe that I have a platform of sorts in the field that I'm in. So I think I have been able to a certain extent. I don't know whether I've done it in a manner that I want to, because I spoke about influence and impact. So I think I have been able to. I have a specific, platform that gives me a voice to speak to young people. Both, male and female, but young people. And whether it's in writing or in terms of speaking, I do believe I've been able to do so. I don't know about the reach. I don't think I've reached as many people as I want to.
You know what makes me so curious about your answer is how not just your modesty and your humility in the answer you're giving, especially about the reach you perceive you've had, but for me it's telling in how even as women we have such high standards for ourselves in terms of the impact we want to make in the world, and I feel like it's relative, right? So like success, influence, it's relative to us. So you have this extremely high standard for yourself, and you feel like you're here, but the rest of us who are watching you are measuring you right up there to say, you have done what you've set out to do. You did what you wanted to do, even though there was a career change along that journey and along that path. but now you've identified your strength, you've identified how you want to make an impact in the world, and you're doing it boldly and fearlessly, and doing it in a field in academia that is also so male dominated. Woman, we are proud of you, and we're watching
Thank you.
and we are applauding you. So I think don't be so hard on yourself.
It's not fearless, and I'm not saying fear drives what I do, but I don't think it's fearless. I think a lot of what informs my perspective is probably, yeah, I always say I'm a realist. It's seeing what you can achieve, and you have to aim high. You have to aim high, so that if you somehow miss that goal, you've still had an impact. You know, regardless of how low I perceive it to be or how high you perceive it to be. But thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And you have made that impact. And the last thing I want to say to close off the session with you, Reba, is woman, you are power.
Thank you so much, Quincy. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I think it put me a little bit on the spot. When you always have to introspect, you kind of have to think, oh my goodness. But thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. So thank you for giving me a voice. And women, you too are power.